I find like some things are too. I have some beliefs that are too inflammatory to even discuss, unfortunately.
Because of the way they'll be taken.
Because there are certain things in society that you're not allowed to believe or speak publicly. Mm-hmm. And so I'll just never say them. I'll just leave them in my little head. But mostly...
Well, it's not facts, but it's truth, if that makes any sense. Okay. So you could either look at your life as a series of facts, or you could look at it more overarchingly as a truth, which is very easy for me because I'm a person of faith. I know that you are not. So maybe with you it would be more difficult to find a larger truth that belies all the...
But I will still enjoy it.
I think you will.
Without getting the larger truth.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's written to be read, and it's very, very funny, you know.
Well, you're very funny.
Oh, thank you.
It's unknowable. It's beyond our area of what we can know, right? It's a belief. It's a faith.
Well, that's what they say because they're thinking in evidentiary ways, but the scientific method.
That's what science is.
But the scientific method, first of all, the scientific method always begins with intuition. Always. Einstein used intuition. He did not study things objectively and find things. He was struck with something and then followed that notion that he had, or whatever you call that. I call it intuition. You could put divine roots to it if you wanted to too, but that's how things are, that's how important things are discovered. And obviously there is an enormous intuition amongst every person that has ever lived that God exists. I have very strong belief in intuition, and I just find it interesting that something that everyone believes, some people pretend not to.
I will talk in my stand-up. My entire stand-up set will just be about one thing. So I did a special, and it was all about death, my fear of death.
I have that too.
Which you have, I know. Yes.
But you have belief.
Yes, so but it doesn't. But it's a shaky faith. You know what I mean? There's nothing in my Christianity that says I'm better than anyone else. It says the exact opposite. That I'm just like my friend Billy Joe Shaver, an old country singer. He says I'm just a whole chunk of coal, but I'm going to be a diamond someday. And that's why I love that line.
In Twitter and things like that. Did you hear that Woody Allen interview he did with a French TV station?
No.
He talked about why he just obsessively works from one film. When that one's ended, he moves on to the next one, and it's to get his mind off of dying. Essentially, it's gives him routine, gives him something to do just to keep his mind away from that.
Yeah. God, that's depressing. No, but yeah, I can see what he means. Like, I remember when my dad retired, because that was his whole dream, was retiring his whole life. Like, it was always to retire. And then when he retired, he forgot to think of something to do. Like, he didn't have hobbies or anything. So then he was just sitting around the house, and like he was sad because like he just had this idea of retirement, and he had this idea that doing nothing would be a wonderful thing, which is just natural for us to think. But no, I think that must be why Woody Allen or Clint Eastwood or stuff would work like that when they have so much money, is to not be alone with your thoughts and to be distracted. Like one time I went to a psychiatrist because I was gambling too much, and he told me you do that to like avoid life, and then that was my argument, was like, that's why you do everything, is to avoid. You live life to avoid life in a way, like you live the minutia of daily existence. You wake up, and then you eat, you wash your face and shower and have the exact same conversations with the exact same people over and over and over and over again. just to kind of achieve some self-hypnosis, so you stay away from thinking about. This is why people that do drugs, I think the drugs take away the defense of, if they take very powerful hallucinogenics or something, they probably are thinking more clearly in some ways about life, in the sense that they no longer worry about finding food or talking to friends. They start thinking about real things. And it's so horrifying that they get psychotic breaks and so forth. Again, this is all hilarious stuff.
Because I have opinions that don't fit into either party. So sometimes they'll hear it and they'll call you a conservative because they like to say things like that. But I'm not conservative.
Are you Christian?
And I'm on a journey, a spiritual journey. Let's say that. I believe there's a God, but I'm unsure of his nature. So I consult a rabbi often, because they're the people that know the Bible the best. And so I've had my time, I've had more time with Judaism than with any other religion. So
that's my religion.
That's your religion of birth, but you don't believe in anything.
I don't believe in anything.
But I will say this about the Jewish people, that I love that they live by their beliefs, whereas some Christians, it's just do what you want and get forgiven.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer the living day-to-day rituals and beliefs.
Certainly everyone can agree that's the most important thing, whether or not we're alone, or whether or not we're taken care of. Certainly anyone in their right mind would agree that's the most important question to answer.
You mean for an afterlife?
Not necessarily for an afterlife, but that would also be good. But without God, there's no purpose. I don't care what anyone pretends otherwise. But it's highly, highly irrational to say that there's purpose without God, because there simply isn't.
I know it's very stylish nowadays to not believe in God. Mm-hmm. It's the thing to do.
Right.
And especially in comedy, And I stay away from that sort of thing in comedy, because I find comedy should be funny.
Right. Absolutely.
Like, imagine in the old days, you go, hey, what do you think of religion, Lou Costello?
But death is something that is a big theme in your comedy, though. Death itself.
Death is, yes, because you want me to tell you why, Tommy?
Yes.
Because I did stand-up, as you know, in Ottawa, and I was talking about stuff, and Sammy Kinison came, to Canada, and he wasn't famous or nothing, and he took a liking to me, and he took me across the country, and it was the greatest time I ever had. And I was talking about, I had a good act, and Sam said to me one time, he goes, "You got good jokes, man." He goes, "But I noticed you talk about dogs and shit," and he's like, "Are you really interested in dogs?" And I had, at the time, about a 25-minute bit on dogs. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "No, I don't give a fuck about dogs."
Right.
And he said, "Well, why don't you just talk about what you're interested in?" Mm-hmm. So from then on, it became death. No, I always wonder about that, because, and also, the atheists are usually choosing a God not to believe in.
You have to have a God not to, otherwise.
Like Dawkins doesn't believe in a Christian God specifically.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, I get the idea. It's weird. There's an old the spiritual side of philosophy will get to this point where they said, if God is unlimited, which you have to agree kind of rationally, that's what a God. How would God ever deal with limited us? It's very difficult. Every time God has tried to speak to us, that person got killed. Because he said, "Hey, this is great," and then people shot him. There's only been very few people that actually spoke or had said they spoke directly, and they all translate what they heard into human speak. And they're generally kind of screw it up somehow.
Sure, of course.
And it'd be very difficult. There's no, there's a Mark Kornhauser, used to be a magician that I work with all the time. And this is one of my analogies for the spiritual life. He goes, he did that trick where you rip a newspaper. Remember, well, magicians always worked with us with prop acts, and comics probably are going prop act. You know, a lot of prop acts I like. The Amazing Jonathan is hysterical, and I like magicians.
You rip the newspaper.
You rip the newspaper, and then you unfold it.
Yeah.
And I'm on stage going, it's magic. I watched both hands. There's no, he didn't. You know, I couldn't get it. So I backstage said, show me that. He goes, no, I'm not showing you that. If I show it to you, 3 things will happen. You'll go, oh shit, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Then you'll try it, and magic will no longer mean anything to you.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. One day I was saying, I wonder what like prophets saw. And then God, imagine that if God said, listen, if I show you what's really going on here, you're going to go, oh, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And then you're going to try to tell people. And the third thing is you just won't want to be here anymore. This won't mean anything. So you got to, I heard some guy say.
The only guy he ever showed was Job.
And then I think the prophet Islam.
Ezekiel?
No, Muhammad. They showed him, and then he wrote it because his miracle, he said to his staff, was.
We're not going to get too deep into that.
No, but you don't want to get into that. He couldn't read or write, so he said his miracle was he wrote their holy book.
But he was a nice guy, from all accounts.
Really, he was a good guy, and he was a kale free. He never ate kale.
Good.
He never ate kale. He was on a gluten-only diet. I did read that.
If he lives on top of a mountain with snow and shit, he still doesn't believe he's an insect.
Seems like this is a reaction against certain atheists who have certain arguments, but that shouldn't affect how you believe.
No, it doesn't affect how I believe. No. I don't believe. I know. It's a different, and because I believe intuition is everything to me. More than my mind, because my mind can play tricks on me, and my mind is very easily swayed by others and so forth. I personally believe that there's something else other than the mind that you can't talk me into murdering somebody with your atheistic idea that what does it matter one way or the other. I could read all the existential literature of all time. I still wouldn't kill somebody. But yeah, obviously we're not immune to this terrible educative process that weighing us down all the time. None of us are. How can we not believe in what everybody believes on some level? But you try the best you can to maybe not wallow in cliches for your whole life. If you take any subject on any arguments people make, all they are empty, false cliches, in my opinion, at least. I don't know, though.
You ever talk about this on Letterman?
Look, man, I wanted to be funny. We fucked up some.
Blind.
My dad knew a blind man, and my dad was in the war. He was a double generation older than I. He had me when he was 50, so he was in.
That explains a lot.
He was in the great one, and all his friends were older.
Right.
And so.
Wayne Gretzky?
He had
That's a good joke.
So he had a blind friend, and he come over, and my dad said, "Do you want a Coke, Elmer? RC Cola." Oh, God damn. We don't got no RC Cola. We got Coca-Cola, the gold standard.
Right.
And this blind bastard wants an RC. So go down to Avonmore, take him, pick up an RC. Well, that's a 1.5 mile walk.
Right.
So I walk with this blind son of a bitch. And he says to me, he wants me to describe everything. So I said, okay, well, on the left there's some cows lowing, and, there's a fence. He goes, is it like a wood that's near petrified? I said, yes, it is. And how big is it? 3 feet. I said, John Neil Margerison used to own this land. He said, I don't want to hear that. He says, just tell me.
what is. And so all of a sudden, I saw things as they were. I was very young, but I'll never forget that. Because I had to see, for this blind man, I had to see and describe not my opinions, you know.
Right.
So when I went by John Neal Majeruson's house a quarter later,
Right.
I didn't mention John Neal or anything. I just described the house,
Right.
because that's all he wanted to see. And then I began to realize that life is what is, not what you think it is, or not even what it appears to be sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you would agree that your life or my life is just a series of facts, a series of incidents. It's not what you dream or hope or believe. It's what you do.
I would say the exact opposite.
What do you think it is?
First of all, you mean to tell me this does not end with we suddenly realize, why the hell are we getting this blind man a different brand? That's not the punchline?
Oh, no, there's no punchline.
Oh, my God.
I was
thought
definitely
I was
expecting it.
being...
Yeah, that was
Didn't you see a million
textbook.
miles away?
1,000%.
Why are we getting a different brand Coke for a blind man? That's not where we're going?
Well, he didn't. His sense of taste was expanded. He doesn't drink it through his eyes.
I guarantee you could fool a blind person with an off-brand Coke. But anyway, let's go back to your question. Is life the facts,
Yes.
or is it what we think
Yes.
it is? And I would, to me, the facts are somewhat irrelevant. And what you dream, hope, imagine is the reality. Our life is the perfect testament to that, because everything we are is only because we imagined it.
Yes, but you imagined it into being, and so the being
Right.
is what's important.
Yeah, no,
What if you
because the
just-
imagined made
What if
it.
you just sit at home and imagine things on your chair? Are you just a person sitting on a chair, or are you what is in your mind, the imaginings of your soul?
You're the imaginings. The real world is not this.
Mm-hmm.
These are props. This is the trunk.
Is this the
the
real-
act is in here.
Is this the real world?
If you were really funny, you would have poked me like Mo.
I mean, there's a reason that we don't look at each other in the chest, isn't there?
Yeah, but we take notice of the chest.
Oh.
We look in the eyes, but we also look around.
You like a chesty lady, right? Our guest for the entire hour has been the great Jerry Seinfeld. It's been a delight.
Thank you, Norm. The pleasure was mine. Thank you, Adam.
That was great.
It
Thank
was
you so
really
much for
fun.
It was dreamlike.
How fast did that go?
I found it dreamlike.
Quick.
Me too. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. There's something beautiful about this one.
I'm
I'm
so
not
glad.
joking. I'm not being ironic.
No, I
totally
really loved it too. It was great.
Oh, that's great.
So
Too bad
exciting.
this guy was here.
Yeah.